because it happens out of nothing. It just goes, everybody just be screaming and acting, and I get uncomfortable, and it's like similar to a deer being caught in the headlights. I just freeze. We got us stacked up 80 deep in one building. By the time you get out your house, you strapped to protect yourself, because you living in the same community that the police is carrying rifles and riot gear, same. But now, I cannot die with people thinking I'm a rapist or a criminal. I can't leave until this is straight. I'm not suicidal. I can't go until y'all really know what time it is. And then after that, boom, it's all over. I couldn't defend myself, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like the things they were saying about me were beyond my comprehension, or the things that I could say weren't gonna help my case. Whether you work a 9 to 5 or whether you work for yourself, you're getting pimped by somebody. That's not the crime.
Tupac just got sentenced for faking his death, and the world refused to let him rest, turning grief into a brutal trial of obsession. For 27 years, his name was haunted by lies and conspiracy, twisting a life cut short into a puzzle nobody could accept. A legend was silenced by bullets and then trapped in myth, punished again by the very people who loved him most.
I'm up in the hood, doing my work with my folks. And just because I don't live there don't mean I don't go there. I got to go there because I can't hang nowhere else.
The room goes quiet when the name Tupac Amaru Shakur is read out loud. Not as history, not as memory, like he's still alive. There's no man standing there, no body, no face for the cameras. Just a sentence being delivered to someone who officially died almost 30 years ago.
Not only forgot about the fight, forgot about us. Yes, and we're picking it back up. I made a metamorphosis. I'm a new person today, because I used to strongly and honestly, I feel like I could represent my generation so much because I honestly did not care whether I lived or died.
And that's what makes it hit so hard. This isn't a prison sentence. It's a judgment on belief itself, on every theory, every rumor, every late night argument that said Tupac never really left. The question hanging in the air isn't, did he fake his death? It's darker than that. What if the world finally got tired of pretending?
You know what I'm saying? It's that situation when we are living in a war zone. It's not as easy as these people are making us think, that they just got some criminal black kids with guns. It is not like that.
Because Tupac wasn't just another rapper who got killed young. He was a problem. A poet who spoke about police brutality before smartphones. A revolutionary voice wrapped in a chart-topping artist. He made people uncomfortable. He made power nervous. When he died at 25, it didn't feel tragic. It felt wrong. Too early. Too violent. Too unfair. And people couldn't sit with that. Elvis fans said their king was alive. JFK believers said the truth was hidden. But Tupac's case cut deeper because his audience didn't just lose an artist. They lost someone who spoke for them. Believing he was still alive became a way to survive the loss. Grief didn't just hurt. It worked overtime, building stories where reality failed.
Or if I should make them hate me so they can stop, like say something mean so they can just stop. But I'm just like caught in the middle of it, because no one can do that. Police can't do that. They can't stand in front of all those people and control them with a gun and mace and all that. So me with just words, it's like a battle to find the right words to say at the right time.
That's where Machiavelli comes in, not just an album. A crime scene for conspiracy culture. Tupac adopts a new name right before his death, drops an album after he's gone. The title nods to Niccolo Machiavelli, a philosopher people swear wrote about faking death to defeat enemies. Scholars say that's a stretch, but conspiracies don't need accuracy. They need timing, and this timing was perfect. The album cover shows Pac crucified like Christ, resurrection imagery everywhere. Exit Tupac, enter Machiavelli, printed like a farewell note. Fans didn't hear music anymore. They heard instructions. Lyrics became clues. Silence became proof. Even the name Machiavelli got rearranged into Am Alive K. At that point, the album stopped being art. It became evidence.
If my image or my reputation can stop a confrontation before it happens, I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? I know how it is day to day.
Then came the numbers. This is where coincidence turned into obsession. Tupac was shot on September 7th. He died 7 days later. He was 25 years old. 2 + 5 = 7. Time of death, 4:03 p.m. Add it up, you get 7. The album was recorded in 7 days, released weeks after his death. For believers, this wasn't random. It was divine math, a trail left behind on purpose. But here's the problem. When people start hunting patterns hard enough, they stop looking for truth. Proof gets replaced by vibes, and numbers start talking louder than witnesses ever did.
You know, and I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should be what they want me to be, or if I should make them hate me so they can stop. You know, like say something mean so they can just stop. But I'm just like caught in the middle of it because...
The escape theories didn't stop there. They went global. Cuba became the favorite destination not by accident, but by bloodline. Tupac's godmother and step-aunt, Assata Shakur, escaped prison in 1979 and lived in Cuba for decades after being granted asylum. That part is real. So people ask the next question. If she could do it, why not him? Add in vague quotes from Afeni Shakur about her son leaving quietly, and suddenly grief had permission to dream. Words meant for peace got twisted into confession. Family history blurred into fantasy. For believers, the blueprint wasn't invented. It was inherited.
I'm not a threat unless you're a threat to me. You know what I'm saying? So when people say, when you meet Pac, he's different than he is, because when somebody one-on-one, anybody one-on-one, I believe, honestly, that I can talk. I believe that I have the ability to reason, I have logic, I have compassion, I have understanding. If we talk, there's no problems.
What these theories never sit with is the hospital, because that part ruins the myth. Tupac wasn't slipping away in some clean cinematic fade out. He was breaking down. He was in an induced coma because every time he woke up, he tried to rip the tubes out of his body. Nurses said he fought them. His head swelled from trauma. One finger was gone. His body was cold to the touch. Gunshot trauma doesn't care about legacy. The mind stays stuck at the moment of violence. He wasn't planning an escape. He was trapped in it. This version of Tupac doesn't fit the legend, so it gets ignored.
Really violating all my amendments and constitutional rights. I'm never supposed to be put in jail for this. Never.
Well, they're pointing to the interviews and the book.
Oh, man, I didn't violate that.
And that's why the sentence matters. Not because it claims Tupac faked his death, but because it exposes what really happened. The world put him on trial after he was gone, turned a dead man into a riddle because accepting street violence was harder than believing in secret tunnels and coded albums. This wasn't about Tupac disappearing. It was about people refusing to let him die. The lie didn't protect his legacy. It delayed the truth. And now, decades later, the myth is being judged just as harshly as the man ever was. That night in Vegas didn't feel legendary while it was happening. It didn't feel historic. It felt messy, loud, stupid in the way bad decisions usually are.
That's how it is. And the reason being is because if I can't live free, if I can't live with the same respect as the next man, I don't want to be here. Because God has cursed me to see what life should be like.
And it started way earlier than the red light everyone talks about. Inside the MGM Grand, right after the Tyson fight, Tupac spots Orlando Baby Lane Anderson in the lobby. Cameras everywhere, security everywhere, common sense nowhere. Pac swings first. That's not a theory, that's on tape. Grainy, ugly surveillance footage that doesn't care about legacy or symbolism. Just a punch thrown in public followed by a full-on dog pile.
So were you there that night in that car? What was your role?
No, I wasn't there. I wasn't there at all. No car, nothing. I wasn't even in Vegas.
Yeah.
They ain't got no proof I was in Vegas. They ain't got no gun, no car, no KPD, no nothing.
Now here's the thing people gloss over. That punch didn't just bruise a face, it bruised pride. And pride doesn't clock out at midnight. Baby Lane walks away, but the night keeps going. Pac and his crew probably thought that was the end of it. Vegas energy, fights over, adrenaline high, nothing feels real yet. A few hours later, Pac is riding with Suge Knight in a black BMW, cruising down Flamingo Road like the danger already passed. And that's when the movie ends and reality takes over.
Shakur was gunned down here in Las Vegas back in 1996. No one was ever charged, but now a televised confession may be the missing link.
Red light at Flamingo and Koval. Car stops. A white Cadillac pulls up next to them. No dramatic pause. No warning speech. No soundtrack swelling in the background. Just 13 shots fired in seconds. 13. Pac gets hit 4 times. One bullet rips through his right lung. That's the detail that kills every fantasy. You don't walk away from that. You don't fake that. You don't disappear from that. That's not poetry. That's physics. That's street violence doing exactly what it always does, ending things permanently and without meaning.
Tupac and opened fire. Tupac
Ended where car video ends. And yet, somehow this is where people start adding meaning instead of removing it.
It's an investigation Metro Police worked on for 27 years. Prosecutors say some photos were on Polaroid, others on film.
Pac doesn't die immediately, which should make the story more human, but instead it makes the myths stronger. He's taken to the hospital. He's cut open. He's put on machines. He's fighting his own body. 6 days later, he's gone. And that should have been the final chapter. But then comes the cremation and everything goes sideways.
Shakur was shot multiple times while sitting in the passenger seat at a red light near the Las Vegas Strip in 1996.
The cremation happens fast. Too fast for comfort. No public viewing, no final goodbye, no open casket moment where everyone can argue about what they saw. Just ashes. And listen, families choose cremation all the time. That part alone isn't suspicious. But this wasn't just someone's son or friend. This was Tupac. So the silence around it didn't feel peaceful. It felt loud. And when silence shows up uninvited, speculation grabs the mic.
Prosecutors also showing where Shakur was sitting in the passenger seat in a photo of a car door with a hole through it. Other photos include the shooting scene at Flamingo and Koval, with cones representing where responding officers found shell casings.
Suddenly, people are whispering about paid-off cremators, missing witnesses, doctors who knew too much. The lack of a funeral becomes proof instead of privacy. Fast cremation turns into destroying evidence. Normal grief rituals get rewritten as cover-ups.
Keep walking back, take a step to your left, step to your left.
And this is the exact moment the myth officially overtakes the truth. Not because there was new evidence, but because there wasn't enough closure. People didn't want answers anymore. They wanted something to believe in.
Turning now to the renewed investigation into the 1996 murder of Tupac Shakur.
This is now available to the public. It includes pictures and video of the car Shakur was riding in the night of his death.
Then comes the long stretch of nothing. 27 years of it. No arrests, no charges. Vegas PD fumbled early, missed key moments, and let the case freeze solid. Baby Lane never faced justice. And then in 1998, he's killed in an unrelated gang shooting. Just like that, one of the most important links to the truth is gone forever. Whatever he knew went with him, and the street code made sure nobody else picked it up. No talking, no cooperation. Silence becomes law.
Ultimately, our persistence in this investigation has paid off.
Here's where things get darkly ironic. The lack of justice didn't protect Tupac's legacy. It distorted it. Every year without answers made the theories louder, wilder, more unhinged. When institutions fail to explain violence, people invent meaning to survive it. And the longer the silence lasted, the more creative the explanations became. CIA plots, body doubles, secret tunnels, Cuba sightings. Because accepting that a global icon was killed over pride and chaos felt too small, too ugly, too real.
They want me, when they first see me, to humble myself. They want me to be like this and da-da-da, just because they're scared of me. But I don't feel like that's my job, to humble myself, to show you that I'm not a threat. I'm not a threat.
And that's how no justice creates monsters. Not just criminals, but ideas, theories that grow teeth, stories that replace facts. The system's failure didn't just delay accountability, it gave conspiracy culture permission to run wild. People weren't chasing truth anymore. They were chasing comfort. Something that hurt less than admitting a life that big ended for reasons that dumb.
And these photos and videos are just some of the evidence that was shown to a grand jury, helping them build their case.
That night in Vegas destroyed every alternate ending. There was no heroic sacrifice, no master plan, no clever escape route. Just a fight caught on camera, a red light at the wrong time, and bullets that didn't care who was sitting in the passenger seat. The cremation, the silence, the cold case, all of it came after. But the damage was already done.
Investigators have long believed the gunman is likely already dead, the victim of a separate shooting 2 years after the drive-by shooting of Shakur. The current investigation could lead to an accomplice who was in the car with the gunman that night.
And the wildest part, if the truth had come sooner, the lies might never have survived. But when justice goes quiet, imagination gets loud. And for nearly 3 decades, imagination ran the story. All right, buckle up, because this is where the story stops being mysterious and starts being painfully human.
One investigators have clearly not forgotten about either, and according to reporting by the Associated Press, Las Vegas police have someone in custody who they say was somehow involved in the shooting death of hip-hop icon Tupac Shakur.
Let's talk about Keith D, also known as the guy who treated a murder like a podcast tour. Back in 2008, Keith sits down with the feds and gives what's called a proffer, which is legal speak for, "I'll talk, but don't arrest me, please." And boy, did he talk. He admits he was in the car that night. Not a rumor, not a theory, his own mouth. And for a while, that deal worked. Immunity wrapped around him like a bulletproof vest. He walked free, chest out, thinking he'd beaten the system. But here's the problem with thinking you're untouchable. You start acting untouchable.
Photos like these of the BMW Tupac was riding in with night. Images shown to a grand jury include the car riddled with bullet holes.
Years go by and Keith doesn't just stay quiet. He does interviews. He pops up in documentaries. He writes a book about a murder. There's a rewards program for self-snitching. Somewhere along the way, he forgot the most important rule in America. Murder doesn't expire. There's no return policy, no statute of my bad. And every time he talked, every time he added details, he chipped away at the protection he thought he still had. Ego did what bullets couldn't, finish the job. And then came the allegation that made hip-hop collectively stop breathing.
Police order him out of the home and then move in to begin searching for a list of items that could tie him to the murder.
Keith claimed there was a $1 million hit discussion, a name drop that shook the culture, Diddy. According to Keith, conversations happened. Cities were named. Amounts were mentioned. Suddenly, this wasn't just East Coast versus West Coast folklore. This was money, pride, and power colliding in the ugliest way possible.
Now the spotlight turns toward this new suspect, Keffi D.
Now, let's be clear. Allegations are not convictions. Saying something happened and proving it are two very different planets. But the damage? Oh, that landed immediately. Because when you mix fame, unresolved beef, and unchecked egos, the results are never pretty.
The victim of a separate shooting 2 years after the drive-by shooting of Shakur. The current investigation could lead to an accomplice who was in the car with the gunman that night.
And once my life is gone, it's gone. Can't nobody give it back to me.
Now, so many years later, nobody has been arrested in the case. The evidence.
Fast forward to 2023, and reality finally kicks the door down. Search warrants. Evidence seized. No more talking. No more interviews. Keith D is charged with first-degree murder. The same man who joked his way through confessions is now staring down a life sentence.
New video shows Tupac Shakur and Marion Suge Knight leaving the MGM Grand after a fight involving a rival gang. The video, part of evidence shown to a Las Vegas grand jury, leading the panel to indict Dwayne Keefe D. Davis in Shakur's murder.
Court delays stack up, but the fantasy is officially over. The story that lived in conspiracy forums for decades just walked into a courtroom wearing handcuffs. This wasn't some elaborate disappearance. This was a crime that took way too long to catch up to its suspects. And that brings us to the so-called sentence Tupac received.
But a lot of these photos, we've seen obviously where this shooting happened, but these are the photos and evidence that...
Not prison, not exile, not some secret island retirement plan. Tupac was sentenced by bullets, not judges. But somehow the conspiracy world decided that wasn't enough. They put him on trial instead, turning a dead man into a riddle, a code, a scavenger hunt. Every rumor became more important than the reality. Every theory erased a little more of the person he actually was. Myth became a second execution.
This newly released evidence showing never-before-seen details in a case that's cracked wide open some 27 years later.
End it later. And here's the final truth, whether people like it or not. Tupac didn't fake his death. He was taken too soon. The conspiracies aren't evidence, they're coping mechanisms. A way to avoid admitting that talent doesn't protect you, fame doesn't shield you, and violence doesn't care about legacy. Turning trauma into entertainment doesn't honor the dead, it reuses them. So maybe the real act of respect isn't finding hidden messages or imaginary sightings. Maybe it's letting him rest. He didn't disappear. He was erased by violence and resurrected by grief.